program is part of the Scene Projects Podcast Network. The Scene Project features interviews with independent musicians, comedians, and artists from across the Midwest. Become part of our community and support local art wherever you are.
Hi, I want to welcome everyone back to another episode of Soul Impact. I'm your host, Wild Willie, and today with us I got Prince George. I want to thank you for being on the show today, buddy.
Thank you for having me.
So why don't you tell everybody kind of a little bit about yourself and kind of where your journey started?
First of all, my name is Prince George. I'm a writer, producer, actor, and artist for a company called Warzone Comics. Warzone Comics has been around since 2002 as a comic book entertainment company. And we also do podcasting and television as well.
That's awesome. So how this all started is music has always been therapeutic for me. I had a pretty rough upbringing where there was a lot of child abuse, so I didn't know how to feel, and I never had anyone to tell me how, what emotions were okay to feel and how to process them emotions. So by experience different songs and genres, I was able to learn that it's okay to feel this way or that way. So I've always wanted to be a DJ. So about 5 years ago, I made that leap. I have my own DJ company, Backwoods Production. It's a DJ karaoke / sound guy company. And through that, I have seen a lot of artists struggle mentally because they don't believe in themselves or they had one bad experience. So my hope for this is I want anyone that has struggled mentally, for one, to see it's okay to struggle. And there's other people that are dealing with what they're dealing with. So, why don't you tell everyone kind of how you got into what you're doing and what led you there?
Prior to starting the company Warzone Comics, me and a few friends, when we were in junior high school, were always fiddling around with music, fiddling around with art, did music, performed at clubs, house parties, things of that nature, and always was comic book artists. And like pretty much like anything else, we just tended to take art initially to basically communicate, to learn how to communicate or heal ourselves and entertain ourselves through all the things you go through high school and junior high school and life in general, right? And so we had found out we had a passion for it and loved doing it, and it opened doors for us to technically do other things. So like when we graduated high school, we decided to start it into an actual company itself, and through art, it led us to do radio and television and other ventures that we technically do to this day.
So, do you write your own music?
We do, actually. We do write our own music for different genres, different things. Pretty much like you. Like it depends on what's going on in life. Depends on what we're working on as far as projects itself. Some songs are more personal. What's going on in the life itself, a way to cope, to relate to our listeners, to our fans. And then also some things are just funny, like in the sense of how we technically see music as far as part of our project stuff as well too.
So when you sit down and say you have a song come to mind, or not so much a song, but lyrics come to mind for a song, what's that creative process like for you?
We write every day, so it depends. Like it depends on what's going on that day. A song can either be, like I said, either a personal song or a song for an actual project or a combination of both. But again, like sometimes the lyrics come as sometimes it comes in different stages. Sometimes it comes in choruses. Sometimes it comes just words, paragraphs, sentences, and we ended up putting it together. Sometimes, like you hear probably like a lot of other songwriters say like they have scraps of paper everywhere, and then it isn't until you're sitting around and want to craft a particular song, and you have millions of pieces of paper everywhere, and then you start either sometimes it forms into an actual song, and then sometimes pieces of the song itself come. So it has its moments. Sometimes it's not a full song completely. Sometimes it is. It varies on the day, or it varies by song actually.
Right on. I mean, and that's the thing about this, and I love doing this. Like, I hear so many different writing techniques, whether it's like you said, or I've had some tell me it's the beat. They get the beat first, and then they go to the lyrics. And I see as a sound guy, that is what I find the most impressive and appeals to me is the fact that no matter the process, the end product is the same.
I mean, because like for us, for at least for me, is I don't technically always have a beat in my. Well, I have a beat in sometimes in our head, like in an idea of in our head. It may not be a beat that we're listening to, and the song that we're listening to that day, right? And sometimes it could be a song that we're listening to that day, and we be like, "Oh, snap!" And we technically hammer out a song. But sometimes it's not. It's kind of like it kind of sometimes. It's just sometimes you love music just that much. Sometimes you you may technically hear a song in your head that you may not have a song that you can refer to right away. You may not know like, okay, well, this is it can go to this beat or that beat or whatever the case, right? You may technically hear a song. You might hear a song in your head and you're like, okay, I think I want to technically mess around with. Hypothetically, I might want to mess around with rock in this song, or I want to mess around rock rap with this, or I want to do this or that or whatever. So you may write down the chorus or the lyrics or whatever the case, and you technically put it down, and then you walk away from it. And when sometimes you walk away from it, and sometimes you are motivated to record it right away, and then you'll come back to it and. As you go through the process, like for me at least, if I'm in the studio, I may record something and then I'll go in the studio later and fully develop it after the fact. So I may eventually put a beat to it after the fact. It may not be a beat right away that you're listening to.
Right on. See, like, and one other thing I've had to learn as actually venturing into the podcasting is I listen to every one of my episodes because I'm constantly improving. And I'm sure it's the same thing with you where when you write a song and say you hear it and it just doesn't run right. Like it doesn't flow right. And you're like, I can tweak it here. So, and that's the thing is it's constantly evolving, as an artist from where you are now or from where you started to where you are now, there's going to be growth in your career. What has been that biggest growth you have seen in your career?
It depends on different aspects. Because to be honest, like, we've experienced different aspects of growth. I'm not sure if I even said this, but like how we do a podcast now, right? I started out in regular radio. So before it became a podcast, I was doing regular radio. And during the pandemic, turned the regular radio show into a podcast. And learning how to adjust to technically doing, we're going from regular radio where you have an actual full-length studio to being in front on your computer or whatever equipment setup you have in your studio. Learning that part has been an adjustment and learning how to improve in doing it. And then also just the career period, like over the years, like learning how to adapt to the technology, learning how to adapt to writing styles, learning to who you want to work with, who you don't want to work with, just different aspects of the business itself. Just learning how to adapt everywhere, to be honest.
So, and we're going to hit on everything. This is mainly about music, but we're going to hit on kind of everything you got going on. And you mentioned the Warzone comic. I think I said that right.
Warzone Comics, yes.
Why don't you tell everybody kind of about what that is and what's the purpose behind that?
Warzone Comics, like I said, we're comic book artists. So like we decided many years ago we have over 500 characters that we created based off the idea of stuff that we wanted to technically see at the time in comic book, things that were missing in comic books. And so we developed a lot of different characters, and opportunities came because of those characters and those experiences and relationships and friendships and things of that nature, which opened doors for us to do music and stuff, things of that nature. So like people knew us for doing art. Some people knew us for doing music, but you know, the doors for comics was always open. So it opened us to do it opens up to do music too.
Right on. So where can someone find you at? Like if they want to view your whether it's your comics or your music, why don't you tell everybody where they can find you at?
Well, if they want to find us far as any project itself, they can go to the Warzone Comics website, Warzone Comics, WZC.com. They can also go to Walmart, Walmart.com. We're a brand under Warzone under Walmart, under Warzone Comics for our comics, toys, waters, our water line, things of that nature. Also in Walmart, you can go under our Trinity Vision Entertainment line, which is our production company itself. We also have toys. We also have shirts and things of that nature, like shirts that I'm wearing now and stuff, or posters. We also can go to like Barnes and Noble and also Amazon for the Budget Comic Books 1 through 5 series, which is a comic book series that this stuff is based off. The posters are based off of, and we also building the show on Amazon Prime Video for a show called The Prince George Show. We relaunched the show on Amazon Prime. We're writing shows currently right now that we are launching on Amazon Prime. And we have a show called The Number for Static Waves on all your streaming services, which is a podcast.
So why don't you tell us a little more about your podcast?
Our podcast has been a show since as a regular radio show since 2002, 2003-ish. But we relaunched it as a podcast and during the pandemic. We adapted to the changes in technology, and we basically played our music, our own music, other artists' music that wants to be played, that we're technically interviewing, or so most of the time it's people that we're interviewing on our shows. So we're interviewing a musician or music artist, we technically put their music on the show. We're also at their pictures and bios to our website as well. They're not just on the social media, the site that the interview is played, but they have a site on our page as well too. We also adding links to their interviews on our pages and places on our website for you can go to our site to get to know them, not just us particularly. We also are building out interview in our upcoming magazine called Warzone Comics Magazine, where we interview some of those artists and go more in depth to what you've seen on in the interviews that you heard of us doing on our podcast. We're doing an actual magazine version of our show as well, and as well as and connecting it to our shows that we're doing on Amazon Prime Video. So you'll get a chance to interview, see some of those talents in those ways too as well.
That's awesome. And yeah, I'm just starting out. I'm a fairly new podcast. Actually, I've only been doing this since June. So I'm working out a lot of them kinks. But that's the thing is music, no matter your industry, you got to believe in yourself. And sometimes it's just about taking that leap. I'm going to hit on a couple of your questions. Which I think you already answered most of them, looking at them. I'm sorry, I saved it to my phone, so I put them so I can refer to them.
Oh, no problem.
But you really have. You just naturally flowed, and you have answered every one of your questions. But so, how has music saved you? With what the show's called?
Well, this is the thing. People don't know this, but like I had a fairly decent, but not perfect upbringing in my life. So like this is things that I've been through in life itself. Pretty much like how you mentioned the things you've been through in your life, right? And our music has always been there, and you can listen to a song or songs or artists or whatever, and it brings you through your life, and it connects you in a way or touch you in the ways that you never thought you can be touched or healed in ways and stuff. And also writing music can technically heal some of those wounds that you go through in your life too and stuff, right? So it's healed in ways that you never really would think about before. And then especially was in 2021. I think I mentioned this in your questionnaire. I have a protege and my best friend and freaking collaborator, Vicky Hernandez, who most people know for being my co-host on the podcast, Number for Waves. Also has been one of the been a guest on my show called The Prince George Show, the one we have on Amazon Prime, and things of that nature. And she passed away in 21 during a pandemic of natural causes, and that music itself helps not just myself, of course, but not just myself, but my whole team through a whole rough patch. Making decisions how we wanted to proceed, how we wanted to go through different things of not just like the business, but personally. Mm-hmm. And you just learn how to move forward for the most part, and how to honor that memory of who she is and who she was, but also just learning how to, more about self and learning how to move forward. So,
man, I was looking. I don't see your questionnaire on here. I didn't see it. It might not have. I don't know. Sorry. But yeah. So musically, who has been your big impact that you aspire to be like?
I have a lot of art. I have a lot of artists. for the most part, the artists that I look at a lot of artists. I like a lot of artists that people know of, but a lot of the artists that I'm inspired by or like music or was initially inspired by are generally artists within my own circle itself. People may not know an artist by the name of Professor Da Vinci, who's like a mentor of mine, who also does music and a producer. Really talented guy. I'm also inspired by Vicky Hernandez, who as well did his music as well. And a gentleman by the name of Moses Roger Jr., who's very, very talented artist and talented artist as well as a musician and things of that nature. From Moraju Entertainment etc. Just a lot of different, and then also I have a lot of inspirations, like Will Smith is inspiration, as you know, like he doing movies, music, and television. Just a lot of different inspirations, like a lot of different genres. Funny as it sounds, I like Linkin Park, Coldplay, a lot of R&B, 90s, 2000s R&B artists, rock. I like Aerosmith. I like a lot of different people, a lot of different artists, particularly.
No, I get it. I like country, but I listen to a wide range. I've often been told my playlist is very bipolar.
I grew up on country. My first introduction to music was country because my grandparents are from the country, so they listen to old school. They listen to old school country, like the River McIntyres, the Dolly Partons, and stuff like that. And they listen to like I'll forget his name. The gambling guy,
Kenny Rogers.
Kenny Rogers. The old school country. I grew up on old school country initially, and through friends and family and things of that nature, we ended up learning about like R&B, and my parents taught us about old school, like the Motown sound and other stuff. But initially, my introduction to music was country music. So, like, yeah, it's funny.
See, and actually, that really is funny because, like, that's why I got into DJing. Well, that and when I growing up, there's this DJ around. His name was Big Lee, and he was just that. He was big, and it wasn't one of them oxymoron names, you know. But he was an amazing DJ. He had brought this charisma to the table, and I was like, that'll be me one day. Well, so then I decided I was going to get into DJing so I can bring the love of country music back. You know, I also was raised on, you know, the older country, Conway Twitty, Loretta Lynn, Reba, Dolly, Kenny Rogers, you know, the list could go on. And I quickly realized that that's not what people want to hear. Now, granted, there is some crowds that still love that. So I've had to learn to adapt. And especially as a sound guy, when you come in and there's artists that don't come prepared and they don't bring everything they need, you learn to adapt. You make do with what you got. And, you know, sometimes the struggle's there, but sometimes how you overcome that struggle says more about you as your integrity than going through the struggle itself.
Absolutely.
So what's been your biggest struggle musically?
I think realistically, just reinventing yourself, figuring out what you, or not even so much that too, but like figuring out what you want to say and figuring out what's the best way to say it and stuff. Especially in this time and stuff, you know, like when you have something on your brain and the experiences you have and yeah, like pretty much, because like sometimes you don't want to offend like a lot of different people, but yet you have a lot of things to say per se, and just learning how to what songs you want to add to what album or what project and stuff, and what to leave off certain projects. Because in my case, we write a lot and record a lot, and you may have a lot of things to say and a lot of experiences in life itself. So you may have, hypothetically, you may have like 30, 40, 50 songs laid out, and you're like, okay, I like this, I don't like that. I like this, I want to say this, but if I said it this way on this album, it'll technically it'd be interpreted this way. I think it was the best way I can say it is this. It was I think it was Outkast. If I'm mistaken, it was a quote from Andre 3000 from Outkast some time ago, and he said his process of going into the studio. He said, "Well, he was writing a song one way, and he went into the studio to record the song. And when he was done with the actual song, it had a whole different meaning when he technically finished the song or finished songs. And it was kind of funny because it was kind of like true, because sometimes certain songs you write, you think about it one way, and people have a whole different interpretation of what you meant. And then sometimes in interviews like this, you have to. Well, I try not to, but sometimes if people ask questions, I've been questioned on a few songs here or there, whether I release them or not. I've been asked questions about certain songs, and I'd be like, okay, I can't release that song because a person took this out of the song versus what I technically meant.
So what's been the song that you have wrote that has given you the most healing?
You know what? To be honest, every song I've written so far has given me a lot of healing, but I think it's more the impact of who I've healed with songs, more or less, than me, personally.
And I can respect that answer.
I mean, because I can honestly say there's a song called Tweety. There's a song on the album that's called Tweety. And it wasn't a song per se that we was intending to write and record, to be absolutely honest. It became one of those songs that people love, and I love it. I've grown to love it because I end up growing to understand the actual song itself later. But it was a song that was requested by my mother. And what people don't realize, if you listen to the song, you'll get it. But my auntie, my mom and her sister, my auntie, grew up together, of course, obviously. And at some point, my auntie was in a domestic violent situation before I was born, right? And she had 2 children with her then boyfriend or husband or whatever the case. And he decided it was okay to set their house on fire. And he burned her and their children in a house fire. And one of the children, the youngest child, survived it, right? But the oldest child, the boy, and the mom, my auntie, passed away after it. And my cousin had to have many skin grafts all over her body in order to be decent in life itself. And initially, the song was my mom and my auntie share a birth month. They're 2 years apart, but they share a birth month. And my mom was asking a question about writing the song for her to celebrate her sister. And at first, I wasn't keen on writing the song initially. I wasn't in the mindset to write a song, to be absolutely honest. But when the opportunity came to write the song and it came about, I ended up writing the song and giving it to my mother. And it was like, hey, here it is. Here's the song. And my mom was like, can you record it? And I decided, because it's my mother, of course, I recorded the song and got the song, we recorded the song or whatever, and gave it to my mother. And she asked me to release the song on the original radio show that we had previously, and the TV show. So I ended up releasing it as in honor of my mother, and people has reacted to it a lot, and I can see the improvement in my mother. So in that regard, and people who's heard the song itself, I technically feel like it's helped a lot of other people more than me, and I take more pride in that than anything I've ever written for myself. Don't get me wrong, I've learned how to heal through songs I've written myself, but I think that's my biggest pride and joy of helping other people heal.
Dude, and that's what this is about, and that's why I reached out, as I kind of read what was on your bio. And now I want people to see that it's okay to go through depression, it's okay to have anxiety, but it's how you deal with it, and if you're out there and you're watching this episode and you're struggling with no matter what it is, mentally, or reach out. I know you may seem like you're at the end of your rope, but remember, you win if you don't quit. So, I think the community as a whole, and I don't mean the community I live in Missouri, I mean the community as a whole, as music, as entertainers, we need to do better at rallying around our community. And for this, I see, I want this to be a resource. So whether all right, hey, I seen Prince George on Soul Impact. He has an amazing story. Let me go check him out. Or, hey, I know someone that kind of went through this, the same thing. Let me send them his information. So I want it to be a resource. Now, you think of a community, and if there's a house fire, there's a resource that can help with that. If you're struggling to pay a bill, there's resources that can help with that. So in my eyes, this is what I want to be, like a mental resource, to where if you're struggling and you're beating yourself up, hey, he went through this. He can relate to what you're going through. Listen to his story.
Can I add something when you get a chance?
Go ahead.
We started because of that reason. The owner of Warzone Comics started a nonprofit called Prince House for the abused children and the homeless during the pandemic for that exact reason. That way we can help in any way we can to help people in general. It was set aside for abused children and the homeless, but anybody who needs help, we also have a resource there. If people need to talk or need resources or need help in any way, there's a link on the Warzone Comics website. Although there are two different companies per se, Warzone Comics is the smaller business, and Prince House is the nonprofit. But we added a link on our Warzone Comics website for giving back, and it connects you to Prince House. So anybody who ever needs to talk or need resources or need assistance in some way or somebody to listen, we have a contact information that's there for Prince House on the Warzone Comics webpage. It's a link itself. And again, we've mentioned many times that we've reached out to work with Big Brother. We worked with the Big Brother Big Sister organization during the pandemic for children itself, and also reached out to the Taste of Disease Research. to work with them because, again, I was sorry to kill your speech.
No,
sorry.
you're good. That's what this is about. That, like I said, this is about resources. You go ahead.
Also, there's a song called "Fallen." If you ever listen to the song "Fallen," it's another experience about the reason why we started Prince House is for this reason too. We had a nephew who passed away in '94 of a disease called Tay-Sachs. To this day, that they don't have right now a cure for, and it was a blood disease, which is a blood disease. So if you know like Tay-Sachs, Sandhoff disease, and the other diseases and stuff, that's pretty much what Tay-Sachs disease research does. And so we wanted to partner with them because we had a nephew who passed away of the disease in 1994, who went blind and lost mobility to walk, talk, and to move for the most part, and seizures in their body and stuff, and passed away in '94. And so that kind of became a mission in life itself as well. So sort of that was one of the reasons outside of doing Warzone Comics. When you asked what kind of motivated to do Warzone Comics, it was kind of the idea of entertain ourselves and heal ourselves and entertain ourselves. But one of the goals too was to eventually get around to help also start Prince House, to help other people who was going through things like us and stuff like that, or whatever the case. So that is one of the other reasons why we technically do what we do as well. Warzone Comics is our bread and butter. To be honest, what we technically do, we make money from. But also because we have a name, as far as like Warzone Comics and people know who we are as a company itself, it opened doors for us to technically do other things to help other people in the process of, and to help start Prince House.
I mean, I understand that completely because, like I said, I originally started with a DJ karaoke business and running sound, and it has ventured into this. I mean, I see, in here recently, I've actually got to team up. I'm teaming up with Operation Combative Veteran Suicide, and I'm able to help them out. Like next year here in Missouri, I'm actually putting on a benefit concert to raise money for Operation Combat Veteran Suicide. And there's so many matters out there that people don't forget about. We get this cloud over our head, I'll call it, where we're sleeping underneath the roof at the end of the day, and that's not on their mind. Anything else ain't on their mind. All they know is they have a place to sleep, a place to eat, shower, food. And there's a lot of times people don't have that. And I think we need to get back to giving back to those. Yeah, and right. You may not be able to give money, but you could volunteer. You could, even if it's passing the word around and passing a link around, that goes a long way. So what's an advice you would give someone that is at the end of their ropes and they're not entirely sure how to go on?
I would say literally tell them to call someone. It doesn't have to be. It could be family. It could be friends. It can be a resource. Just reach out to someone who can, or if I know it's thrown around a lot about therapy, but like just reach out to some periods. It don't have to be. If you can afford therapy, I would say take it. But if you can't afford it, for sure, reach out to someone who's willing to listen, to be those willing to listen. I think realistically, we have 2 eyes and 2 ears, so we can look and listen more than we talk. And if somebody can sit down and listen to you and hear you and give you a different perspective and different point of view of what you're going through, and listen to you and hear you out for the most part, I think that's the best, one of the best advices itself. First of all, to get it out, to admit, hey, I'm not okay. I'm not okay. I have an issue. I have a problem, yada, yada. And then once you get it out, then learn how to ask for help. I think for the most part, a lot of people don't know how to ask for help, right? And don't know to express themselves. If that makes any sense.
Oh, I could agree, and I think it goes a little further than not just asking for help. They're ashamed of the judgment. Judgment is cast so easily these days that I think, and I have seen it where people are so afraid to ask help, not because they don't want the help, but because they're afraid what. And I'm using you because you're on the interview with me, but they're afraid what you would think, and that's sad that society has come to that where it makes people feel like it's not okay to ask for help. But I completely agree that it's okay. You know, when I went through my divorce 3 years ago, I had to ask for help. You know, that's the thing is, we're not any different. You know, me, you, any artist, they're not any different than the guy up the road. We've all had our struggles. We've all had our times we've had to ask for help. And I will say this, sometimes you're going to have to swallow that pride and ask for help. And it's in order to move forward out of the situation.
That's it. I'll be the first person to tell you, like, when my best friend and collaborator passed away, and my first phone call or first meeting outside of that was to like I said, Moses Reiser Jr. from Morai June, who at the time was my understudy for art. And I reached out to him and was like, hey, yeah, what I'm feeling right now is not cool. Like, this is not cool. I get what happened, but we had a conversation, and a lot of conversations, to be honest, to get over the idea of what was going on and what needed to happen, right? And yeah, great. I've learned how to ask for help, and also, of course, listen to music, of course, itself. But yeah, you have to learn how to ask for help. Like, hell with people think and would say and stuff. But I think realistically, as long as you can get it out and get those feelings and those emotions out of your body per se and stuff, because all those feelings are valid. Like, and people may not want to admit that what you're feeling and what you're thinking and all that stuff is valid. All of that shit is valid, like, and stuff, right? And you deserve to, because you're going through that situation, it's valid to feel those emotions. But I think realistically, learning how to deal with those emotions and channel those emotions into a positive light for the most part.
Exactly. You almost got to change your focus. Like, when I first heard their country song, What Hurts the Most by Rascal Flatts, I loved that song. But when I went through my divorce, it hit so much different. I mean, and then I went through a spot where I was angry and I listened to She Hates Me by Puddle of Mud. And then it went from that to I didn't like who I had become through my marriage. So I wanted to change who I was, but I didn't know how. So then I listened to Michael Jackson's Man in the Mirror a lot. And, you know, sometimes, like you said, it's okay not to be okay. And find you that one person that, you know, and I have that one person and I'm grateful for them. find you that one person that at the end of the day, you know, you could tell them anything and it would stay right there.
Absolutely.
So I want to thank you again for coming on the show. This has been some great conversations. Why don't you tell everybody again where they can find you at?
You guys can reach us at Warzone Comics, WZC.com. Also, if you guys are on social media, you guys can reach out to us on all the social media pages under Warzone Comics. And if you guys want to reach out to us through YouTube, if you guys are on YouTube, is Trinity Vision Entertainment Warzone Comics on YouTube. And also, if you want to reach us out through email, it's Warzone Comics WZC23 at hotmail.com. And our office is 424-732-9673. So if you guys want to reach out to us, it needs to be, if you want us to be those eyes, those ears that you want to talk to, there's again, 424-732-9673. And if you need to reach out to us to get help, resources, and things of that nature, you can reach out to us on our website at warzonecomicswzc.com or through our link on our page called Giving Back. And you can reach out to Print House as well.
Right on. Make sure you send me that website link.
For sure.
And when I do my description, I will list it in the bio.
For sure.
So the big thing, guys, is remember, until next time, love one another, encourage each other, and let's unite as a community.